Hey, everybody. Still got music playing in the background, but okay. Stop. All right. We're here. Oh. Is it lagging? What's going on?
No, it's fine on my end.
Oh, I'm
I think
stupid.
everything's coming through. Yeah.
I had YouTube
Okay.
All right. Hey, everybody. It's Saturday. I lost track of the time. It's Saturday night. Mike McMahon here. I'm here with the ever illustrious Mark Poulton, or as I like to call him, Godfather Poulton. And then we are also joined by Cartoon Muscle, Matt Dalton. How you doing?
How you guys doing?
Good.
That's not your name, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank goodness, because I'm old and I'm losing it. So welcome everyone to the stream. We're going to talk some Poulton-verse, as I like to call it. Talk about our book, USAssassin, that is it's just starting its second week on Indiegogo, and we're doing awesome. Thank you so much to everybody that's been backing it. And then we're going to talk to Matt and Mark about how they met, Matt's backstory, how he got into comics, and show off some of his awesome artwork. So real quick, whoops, that's not what I want to do.
This is Matt's first live stream too.
Yeah, hopefully, first live stream. Hopefully, I do okay.
Where is tabs and Shakabooey? All right, here we are. We are Indiegogo, USAssassin Book 2, Enter Zero Face. Poulton McMahon are back and bringing high-octane action comics with them. As always, we are at 4640, 84 backers, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think we would have hit that stretch goal, but we had I think we had like 2 cancellations, and one of them was like a big, like $215 backer. Yeah,
that sucks. Oh well.
Those cancellations are always depressing when I get the email.
Yeah, well, you know. Just leaves another opportunity for somebody else to get that, because the $200 perk is limited. So,
yep.
But we have our featured perk is the fan pack, $75. You get a reprint of Volume 1 with an awesome Yoon cover. We get a copy of Volume 2. Let's see, Enter Zero Face. And it comes with a sketch by myself. And then we go down, and we got $25 perk is for just the book. Signed by everything. All the books will be signed by Mark Poulton, and I won't be able to sign them unless coronavirus gets under control. So, and then there is reprint. Reprint cover is also $25. An awesome cover. Then there is the double tap, which is 2 books at a discount. It's $40 for 2 copies, which is a great deal.
Oh, that is an amazing piece right there. That's awesome. I love that.
Oh, this one?
Yes.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I read the description. It was a bad guy with an octopus for a head, and I'm like, I'm on it. So.
Well, they're fun to draw. I tell you, I've done a few octopi themed pieces, and they're fun to draw. Yeah.
It was a hoot. Let's see, going down further, we got Action Pack Book 1 and 2 for $50. So you get the reprint with the variant cover. And you get the regular Volume 2. And then down here is Triple Threat, where you get the first printing of Book 1, you get the reprint of Book 1, and then you get Volume 3 for $75, all signed by Mark Poulton. And every time I see that picture, all I think of is Action Jackson, how do you like your ribs?
I remember that, yeah.
Whoops.
That's way back.
Yeah. Well, I'm old, so let's see.
I'm old too. I'm old too.
We got the Patriot Pack, which is all the books plus a sketch, all signed by Mark Poulton. And then we got the coolest perk, in my opinion, the USAssassin Footlocker. When we're done with this, we'll have Mark show the one he's got sitting behind him, but it is awesome. It's $200. It will contain all the books that are going to be a part of this campaign. So, and it is able to hold 5 trade paperbacks. So let that be just like a tease to everybody out there. And it'll also include a sketch, not just from me, but also a sketch from Mark, because Mark is also an amazing artist in his own right. Excuse me. And then down here we have the Retailer Pack, which is 10 copies of each book, plus promo items and a 24 by 36 poster. Mark has said that you don't have to be a retailer if you want to get that. I think it's a great deal because it's meant to be in the stores, but I think it's a great deal, and it's a great way to get some CG on bookshelves. Let's see.
Yeah, and Christmas is coming up, so if you have 9 friends who you want to get the books for.
That's right. Here's some more art by me and some color pages. There is the awesome Mark Yoon cover, which in and of itself should be a poster because it just looks so awesome.
That's that Spider-Man homage.
Yeah. He did an amazing job with that. He's come really far. Dang it. I keep skipping ahead. All right, so that's the poster that'll come with the Retailer Pack, so you can hang it up and don't get caught empty-handed. Choke a ninja. I mean, sold here. So there's book 1, Old Habits reprint, and then there's book 2, Every Zero Face, and then also what we're doing is this is the unphotoshopped version of the cover for Volume 2, and we will put all the backers' names into a random, and we will pick one lucky backer who will win that cover, and I will sign it and send it to them and give much appreciation. We have stretch goals, $5,000. Everyone gets a trading card. We are super close to that, which it'd be awesome if we could get to that in this next week. $10,000, a 6x9 print for all backers. $15,000, a sticker for all backers, because who does not love stickers? I know I do. $20,000, a pinup section will be added to the book. $25,000, artist Mark Yoon will sign all Volume 1 reprints. So you can't lose, kids. You can't lose. I'm going to try to play the trailer and see if I can get this to work. Let me full screen it. Let me get rid of that garbage. And let me know if you guys can hear it.
I don't hear anything. No.
You don't hear anything?
No.
Dang it. Let's try it.
Do you have headphones in? Maybe that's...
Yeah. Oh. All right, hold on. Dang it. Stop. All right, let's try this.
Assassin returns in an all-new 50
I got it. I hear it.
novel written by Mark Poulton, co-creator of Graveyard Shift, featuring artwork by rising superstar Mike McMahon. New villains unite, take on Joe Knight, a story inspired by the rage and cruelty of the dead. Plus, learn the secrets of Project USAssassin. Who is the mysterious Sensei Steel? All this in a book 1 reprint featuring a stunning cover by Mark Yoon. USAssassin.
Yeah. USAssassin.
Nice.
All right, let me turn the volume down on this because Shazam. All right. So, let's see. All right. So, 4640, 84 backers, 22 days left in the first 30 days. Let's see. So we will stop sharing that. Go to that. All right. So that's enough of my nonsense. All right, Matt, give us your spiel. Where'd you come from? How'd you get here? How'd you hook up with Mark? Why are you so damn good?
Well, thank you. Well, I grew up in North Carolina and in Raleigh. I went to school in Savannah, Georgia. Graduated out of their sequential art program down there. Moved to California for a little while. I did some storyboards, little things like that. Moved back to the East Coast, got married, had a couple kids, same old story for a lot of people. I kind of been in and out of the comics game over the years. I kind of have switched back and forth between doing graphic design, illustration. But lately, before I hooked up with Mark, I was doing a lot of personal commission work. Before that, I got hooked up with a studio in Philly, and we were putting out books through Tokyo Pop. We put out a book through, it was Radical Comics, I believe. And then another book, it was called Samurai's Blood. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but I did a lot of layouts, and then I was primarily an inker on that book. That was put out through, it was I think it was Benaroya Pictures partnered with, Benaroya partnered with Image? I can't really remember now because it was a long time ago. But I kind of got back into it through Mark. And I was introduced to Mark through a mutual friend of ours, Enrico Botta. So that's kind of how I made my way back into comics over the years.
Was the first time we met at Baltimore Comic-Con that year? That
Yes.
Everyone seemed to go? Yeah.
Yeah, it was at Baltimore Comic-Con. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember the rats running all over the city when we were.
Yeah, you remember the rats running under the table?
Oh, my God.
Do you remember the guy that tried to fight me with a big jug of lotion in his back pocket?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we
You
ate
had
outside.
to be there, Mike.
And man, the rats were huge, and they're just like racing across the street under our feet and stuff. Oh man! Eventually,
Yeah.
I just had to get up and go back to the hotel. But yeah, and then I think that I missed I heard about it, but I missed that some guy tried to fight you.
Well, if Sean Aaron is listening in, he could tell you all about it because he was there when that happened. Yeah, those rats were the size of possums, no joke. Scary. Is that the cover? That's the cover for Graveyard Shift.
Yeah,
or the pinup for Graveyard Shift.
Yeah, that is amazing. It's also a shirt, but I mean, just the detail is just nuts. It's just so cool. And then let's see. Stop sharing that, and I'm going to share your. I need like 3 hands to do this. I'm going to share your Instagram. That's also got. I can't get this to blow up, but it's Viking Wolf. It's the book that you guys are working on, and it just it's so amazing. It's so cool.
Thank you.
I dig it.
Yeah, I got the Graveyard Shift commission from Matt, and I was so blown away by it. I was just like, I need to get Matt to do a book with me, and Matt, you didn't want to at first. You were like, oh, I'm an inker, and I had to convince you. I feel like it, but man, I'm glad you agreed because everything you turn in looks amazing.
Oh yeah, there's.
Well, I'm glad you're happy. I mean, I work. I mean, I really do. I work really hard on every piece I produce, which is why I tend to be so slow. But it's worth it in my opinion. But
definitely.
Yeah. I try. Some artists can crank out a page of sequential a day. I'm just right now. I have a wife and 2 kids and another full-time job, so it's really hard to keep that pace. So.
Oh, I know. Trust me. 4 kids and a job, and I'm gonna this. I had to share this because this just blows my mind. This is a Bane piece. It's just nuts. Just so insane.
Yeah, I really enjoy drawing just like huge muscle bound dudes. I mean, that's always the type of thing that I gravitated towards. So I enjoyed doing that piece. That was a commission piece for a guy in Belgium, I think, and he was very happy with it.
Well, I would hope so. If he wasn't, I mean, you yourself are a huge muscle bound dude. You could crush that guy. You're like, oh, you don't like it? Squish. Squish.
Not quite as huge and muscle bound as I used to be, but.
Let's see. I'm trying to find some other stuff here. What was that? Now this is cool because this is a character. This is a blast from the past. A character that didn't get a lot of love because it was just too damn weird. Boom, maggot.
Oh yeah.
So ahead of its time. Like just it's so weird. I think it was like too weird, I think, for people. I don't know why. I mean, it was kind of neat. It was a neat concept. It was a neat idea, but
it's a very original concept for a character. That was a commission for a guy that lives up in Rochester. He's been a really consistent and very, he's given me a lot of work. I'm very grateful for the work he's given me over the last few months. Try to keep up with his requests. I feel bad because I try to go back and forth between commission requests and working on Viking Wolf. But this guy, whenever he asks me to do a piece for him, he's always very patient and waiting.
Yeah.
Sometimes he has to wait weeks, but.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to. I mean, I know. Yes, his shadows are freaking still.
Thank you, Mark.
I know that's what I do is I keep my commission list open, and if a page is just frustrating me or just not in the zone to do sequential, I can kick over to a commission, and it kind of because it's one static image, you're not having to worry about a lot of storytelling. You still have to storytell in a commission and a pinup, but it's operating different muscles in your brain, so it's nice to kind of have that on the side to kind of switch gears when you need to give yourself a little bit of a break.
Yeah, there's definitely truth to that. Switching gears is a big thing for me because sometimes you just get a little worn on working on a certain piece. And you just got to draw something different for at least a day or a few hours at least, and then get your energy reserves back up, get those creative juices recharged, and then go back to what you were doing.
Or you can be dumb like me and draw almost an entire completed page and then go, it's not working, and then redo it.
I've done that many times. I mean, I can't tell you how many pinups or in sequential pages I've started and gotten well into it, all up to my elbows, and then I realized I got to rework this page because it's not going to work. It's not working. But you got to do that sometimes.
Yeah, you do. It's just part of the process. It's just how it goes. You guys don't have a sign up a mailing list yet, do you?
No, I haven't created it yet.
Okay, I was just checking. Let's see.
So Matt, when you were doing stuff at Radical, do you mind talking about the one book you were working on?
Are you talking about Incarnate?
Is that the Nick Simmons book?
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
that was terrible. Well, I mean, so Nick Simmons, he's Gene Simmons' son. Well, he wanted to produce a comic book, and allegedly, traced some artwork. That's what they said. But I'm sorry that my name is even attached to that book. To be honest with you, I was an inker on that book. But I mean, it was a good time. I got to go to San Diego Comic-Con for free, which was great.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. I think the allegation was it was traced out of like verbatim from the book Bleach. I remember
Yeah,
seeing an
yeah.
article about that, and they did like a comparison. And it's like wasn't I think the only thing that changed was like the hair color.
Yeah,
One
well,
was
he claimed it was an homage, but I mean, you know, I actually never even crossed paths with Nick Simmons at any point, even when I was at the con. So I never met him. I
Oh.
can't speak for what type of person he is, but I didn't know about it until it was like I think it was like a year after that book came out, and I was just Googling it online at one point, and I reached out to one of the other guys that I worked with. I was like, "Hey, what the hell is going on with this book? What's all these tracing allegations going around?" And then he filled me in on the details. But that is what it is.
It is. Everyone has their moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know because I used to watch
Family Jewels.
Family Jewels, yeah.
Yeah.
And it showed like Gene with him, and Gene's like, "Oh wow, look at all these people." I'm like, "Dude, you've played for like 100,000 people at one time. Don't act like San Diego impresses you in the least."
Yeah.
Unless he was like, "Oh, look at all the money I could make off of these people."
It was cool though, because I got to
Hey, Edward.
I got to go to a free concert with Gene Simmons.
Oh, sweet.
Play. They had it at the Hard Rock upstairs in one of their hey Aurelia, one of their I don't know, ballrooms, I guess, or whatever it is. Hey, son of a. And so I got the benefit of seeing a very up close and personal attending an up close and personal concert with Gene Simmons, and I got to see a lot of celebrities there. Terry Crews was there, which was cool. Joe Quesada was there, which was cool. I saw Stan Lee. I regret not going over and talking to Stan Lee when I was there, but I was just a little bit too nervous.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see him in person. Carrot Top was there too. Man, that dude was jacked. That guy was jacked. You want to talk about somebody who's jacked? He's huge. Huge.
There was what was it, a Family Guy skit or something where they were like it was like Peter talking to Carrot Top. He's like, all right, when we need you, or just keep working out until we call you back. And that kind of explains why he got so jacked, because he just never stopped working out.
Yeah, I think he was supplementing a little bit there.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. I had a good time.
Oh yeah.
What year was that San Diego Comic-Con?
I went in 2009 and I went in 2011. And to be honest with you, both of those kind of run together because they were so long. Yeah. So I don't even remember what year it was, to be honest with you. Because I'm go ahead.
Yeah, in 2010, I was working for Arcana, so I was there with Arcana, and we had done something with Stan Lee. I got to interview him for this pop culture magazine we had put out, and I had an opportunity to meet him, but I was so beat from running the booth all day. I was like, nah, and I let my friend have my spot to meet Stan Lee, which he thanked me forever. But I was just like, it's one of those regrets. I kind of wish I did meet him, but at the same time, I was so exhausted because Chrissy and Chase were there. Chase was two months old at the time. I just wanted to go back to the hotel and crash. I was so beat.
Yeah. I've never been, but I just can't afford a trip like that.
I'll tell you, by the time, so I went in 2009. And then I went again, and I think it was 2011, like I said. But even those couple years, you could kind of see, like, San Diego started becoming a lot more about movies than it was comics, and you kind of saw that. So there was less and less and less emphasis on the artist, on the comics, and more on the celebrities in the movies. And I can understand that they're trying to make money, they're trying to sell tickets, but. It was still a good time, and I still kick myself for not speaking to Stan Lee, like I said, because I mean, growing up, he was like, I mean, he always will be the man. I mean, that's who he was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I was a kid, if you want to go back to how I started drawing and how I got into drawing comics, it was the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. I don't know if you guys remember that. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I still got my first edition Falling Apart copy.
Yeah, my mother brought home a VHS tape. I don't know where she got it, how she got it, but she brought home a VHS tape of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way.
Oh, that's right.
And so my brother and I, when we were kids, we didn't have a TV. We had a VHS, and we had a monitor. So we could hook up our VHS player to a monitor, and we could watch films and videos. And we had that videotape, and we watched it so many times, it just literally fell apart. But we would spend hours and hours and hours watching that tape over and over and over and over and over again. And that's really how I learned all the basics: perspective, proportions, foreshortening, light and shadow. John Buscema was the artist that partnered with him on that.
Yep. And the best part of those videos is his reaction to Stan. Whenever Stan would go over the top, you'd see kind of Buscema kind of like.
And man, he was a great artist.
He's a superb artist. He's an
was,
artist. He's not just a cartoonist. He's an artist. I mean, that dude could.
I almost called him Steve Buscemi there, but John Buscema. He amazing artist. I think he went to Pratt. I want to say he went to Pratt as art school, but just a traditionally trained. And you can see it, man. He really understood anatomy, and then on top of that, he understood, just how to make a drawing look powerful.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of power in his art.
Yeah, a lot of people said that Silvestri was the second coming of Buscema because he's you can definitely see it in a lot of his early work. I mean, he started on I think Conan too, I believe. But yeah, he's definitely you can see the influence early on, and then he kind of became his own thing that many people try to copy Mark, but nobody really gets it right.
No, he's amazing with that hatching that he does. I mean, I remember back in the 90s, when I was a teenager and looking at his work and just studying the hatching that he it was amazing.
I always tried to get his gestures down because he always just everything had and I think part of it had to do with Dan Green inking him because Dan was kind of a purposefully sloppy inker on Mark to kind of match his frenetic line work. But I mean, everything just kind of everything kind of moved.
Yeah.
And there was always, you could always count every single book. There would be a female upshot of a woman's face that would be cropped right here. But yeah, his stuff was amazing, and his run on X-Men really hooked me because he does my favorite version of Colossus.
Yeah.
I think the first issue I actually got of his run was where it opens up and it's Peter drawing in his sketchbook. That had a real big impact on me because I'm like, it's art within art. It's like it's like kind of pushing that fourth wall a little bit before it became popular. But yeah, so who are, speaking of artists, who are your influences? Who do you look at as the first artist you recognized? Because there's always that moment where people are like, oh, it's not just a comic. There's, I recognize this guy's stuff. And then who became your influences into creating your style?
Well, I don't know if I could pin it down to any one person. I will say the artist that I probably tried to emulate the most in the beginning was probably John Buscema because of the How to Draw Comics video. And then as we went into the 90s, I was really taken with, at the time, Rob Liefeld, like, you know, most kids my age.
Yeah.
Michael Turner, J. Scott Campbell, Joe Madureira. But I think if I could pick any one artist that I studied the most and really appreciated the most, would probably be Todd McFarlane.
Yep.
And there was something about the way that he could draw anatomy in such a stylistic way, and you know, if you know anatomy, you can pick it apart, but it worked.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I'm like, this guy is just so good. He had such command over his line, such confidence in his line. It blew me away. And I just got every McFarlane piece I could ever get my hands on, and I would just pour over it. I would study panel after panel, just the way he drew eyes, the way he drew the detail in a shoe. It was just amazing. And still to this day, I'm still blown away by him as an artist. And then of course Greg Capullo.
Oh yeah.
Greg Capullo is
those
amazing.
two were awesome together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love McFarlane.
And of course Joe Madureira. I mean, Joe Madureira, he was in the comics game. I mean, I guess he's transitioned over to video games, if I understand correctly. And I think that's what he's doing now.
Yeah, he's been bouncing around for like the last 20 years.
Yeah, but he was doing X-Men, so I think I first saw him when he was working on X-Men.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool because there was if you look at his early stuff to where he actually became Joe Madureira, you know, where he started to really develop his style, it seemed to me at the time, a very, very quick jump. And you can see that manga influence in his work, and this stylistic quality that he had in everything that he drew, like the way he drew fingers and hands and faces, and you know, the expression in the mouths and the eyes. He's an amazing artist. His Battle Chasers run was awesome.
Yeah, that was a guy where, like, when he came, I was so like gung ho, like image style, that when everyone started to kind of do the manga stuff, I was kind of like, oh, it's different, I don't like it. But once he went to Battle Chasers, I was like, okay, this I get, this I like, this, you know. And then he never finished it. Went into video games for like the last 20 years, I think. He's been jumping from video game company to video game company. But yeah, he was a game changer. He definitely kept the 90s from being stale, I think.
Yes.
Because when he started with it was a Deadpool miniseries, I think he did with Fabian? Excuse me. And his stuff looked kind of like a simplified version of Art Adams stuff. It was a little cartoony, not as highly detailed, but you could see the influence. And then, you know, as he went on, it definitely became Joe.
What was the last comic thing he did? Was it the Ultimates?
I think it was. I think it was the Ultimates.
He did Ultimates, and then he did like 2 or 3 issues of a thing called Inhuman for Marvel, and I think that was it. He's done like some covers, but that's I believe the last thing he's done.
Well, it was cool because he brought such an animated quality to his work, and you know, you want to call it like you know, almost like a cartoony type of quality to his work. And I remember I submitted to Marvel. I was probably like maybe 16, 17 years old. So this would have been like 96 or 97, 98. And I was submitting to Marvel over and over, and I would send them submissions all the time. And I finally got a letter back from them. And I had submitted an Incredible Hulk. You know, it was like 4 pages of Incredible Hulk or something, and I got a letter back from them. They're like, "You're really good, but your art is too cartoony." So they wanted me to make it a little bit more realistic, I guess. So it looked too cartoony for their taste. But I mean, look at what you got now. I mean, The styles, what's considered acceptable now, it's all over the place, and there's just a ton of really great artists out there that I guess in the 90s would have been considered too cartoony. But
Yeah,
I mean,
which is funny because to me that's kind of what McFarlane brings, that caricaturist into comic art. I mean, you look at the faces and they're exaggerated like a caricaturist would. And I think that's definitely probably why I gravitated towards him, because I mean my dad did that kind of stuff. He was a caricaturist, not professionally, but for stuff he would do at work, he would do it for people retiring. But I think that's what made him so different, was he was able to, like with being a caricaturist, you have to exaggerate and you have to kind of stretch things to past reality. And I think that's what works so well with McFarlane's work, is he can do a realistic style, but he can stretch it to the point where it's not, I mean, at least to me, it's not ridiculous. I know there's some people who are like, oh, it just doesn't even look like a person or whatever. But, he got people excited about books that weren't really doing that great. So he was onto something, and, he's still great.
I think the industry was just ready for something different. I mean, I think you said, I think the industry kind of like stylistically, I mean, there was still a lot. I mean, a lot of great artists, but it kind of had stagnated a little bit as far as like, the way comics looked. And then he just brought something completely new and fresh to it.
Yeah,
because he broke a lot of rules.
Yeah, because like DC for the longest time just was kind of stuck in like the 60s and 70s style of art. I mean, they even kind of crept into the 90s until they kind of had to up their game, and then Marvel was stuck on Buscema and Romita Sr. Everything had to look like that. Excuse me. And though the Image guys, I mean, they catch a lot of flack, but they the dial was set at like 4 and they turned it up to 20. So I mean, they made it exciting and fun again, and I think that's what a lot of us want to do with the independent creator owned crowdfunding scene. So excuse me. Sorry, hope that didn't blow anyone's eardrums out. And I see with everybody, all the stuff that you see on Indiegogo and stuff people share on Twitter. I mean, it's just amazing. Like your stuff, Mark has just like every great artist out there. Alfecci. He's got. I keep forgetting who does those threads.
Oh, Cesar Madaro.
Cesar Madaro is an amazing artist. My buddy Greg is doing a book, Black Owl, with Mark. John Malin, the Shinobi Sasquatch guy, Rob Willis. I'm horrible with names.
Rob Willis is amazing. I love the way he renders shadow in his Shinobi Sasquatch.
Oh yeah,
I'm a big Sasquatch fan and a Sasquatch believer, by the way. If it, I got my Sasquatch mug right here.
Oh, nice.
So,
is it really just because you want to arm wrestle one? Just see the cover.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to arm wrestle one. If I ever saw one, I'd probably run. I
mean, I'm a Godzilla believer, so. But that's really cool.
Matt, if you're into Sasquatches, there's a movie called Primal Rage. Have you ever seen it?
I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw it.
That movie messed me up for days after I watched it. Yeah. There's like the Bigfoot rape scene in it, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know. I was actually disturbed by that. I was like, this is getting. Oof. I think at the beginning of that film, the film at the very beginning started out a little bit hokey, but once it started moving, it's where they were running from this thing in the woods, and it was tracking them and hunting them. Man, that was a creepy. That was probably the best Bigfoot film I've ever seen, besides Harry and the Hendersons.
Of course.
That scene disturbed me so much. I
think in that scene, didn't he just like rip some dude's entrails out and ate his guts, and then he raped the girl or something? It was terrible.
I heard they're making a sequel. You know, she's carrying Bigfoot's baby in the sequel. She has to.
Like The Fly too.
Yeah. Well, if anybody else out there is interested in Sasquatch, there's a podcast, Sasquatch Chronicles. It's amazing. I listen to it every time they come out, a new episode every Sunday. I listen to it.
Nice.
So.
Aren't you and Enrico talking about doing like a podcast about like urban legends and stuff?
Well, we were talking about doing a podcast called Comics and Conspiracies, but we started last year doing some concept art on a book we want to do together, perhaps next year if we can fit it into our life, called Deputy Monk, which is about a deputy in Alaska who has a sidekick who's a Sasquatch that was adopted by a human family. So it'll be an interesting story to tell, you know. That's awesome. if we get there next year. I'm looking forward to that.
You want to come here? Come here. Okay, maybe not. I was gonna have my little co-host on here with me, but he wants his snacks and he wants his mom. She's been shooting a wedding all day. I mean, not shooting a wedding, shooting a wedding. So he's getting caught up on his loves. It's like mom's here, sister's here, grandpa's here. I think I'm below the dog, maybe.
Are you?
So what'd you guys do today?
I hung out with the baby and did like 2 lines of artwork that I was able to get done, and then try to set this up. That's about it.
Yeah. I usually spend my Saturdays doing chores around the house and trying to catch up on Viking Wolf. So that's how I spend my Saturdays.
So are you inking it?
I'm penciling and inking some of the pinups, the double page spreads, the cover. Renzo Rodriguez is doing some of the pages in there. So I'm not inking right now. I'm not inking anybody's work, and right now I wouldn't really have time to. I do plan on at some point, Enrico, as Mark was talking about earlier, is working on pages for another book called Hell to Pay, and I plan on inking Enrico's work on that book once that gets going. So it'll be fun. It'll actually be a nice break for me to get back to inking, because for me, inking, once when I get into inking, it's very zen for me. I can kind of zone out, relax, and just crank out pages pretty quickly. So I'm really looking forward to that.
So what tools do you use to ink, or what's your go-to? I know everybody kind of uses everything, but
well, most of the time I'm using a Winsor Newton Series 7 number 2, just as instructed by How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, because that was the one that they talked about. So that's what I've used mostly. I do mess around with a crow quill from time to time, but I never really felt all that comfortable with it. I don't like the way it feels scratching the paper. It just never felt very comfortable for me. So I'll use a crow quill sometimes, and then I usually switch back and forth between the brush, the Winsor Newton brush, and microns. That's normally the tools that I use. And then the ink that I use is hold on one second. If I see it over here. Oh, the ink that I use is this, and I found that it for me, yes, isn't it the best? It really is. It's the best ink, in my opinion.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, I tend to stick to that Rapidograph ink. because I find that as far as the way it flows off the brush, it just seems to be the smoothest. And as far as like getting your heavy blacks, it's really good for getting your heavy blacks in there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do that for like filling in blacks. I use do you ever watch what's it, Walden Wong? I think is his name. He's an anchor, but he says don't go out and get a fancy brush. Get one of these. They come in like a 3 or a 4 pack. They're these like watercolor brushes, and that's what he inks all his comic work with. He's like, you don't need to go out and get a super expensive brush because these things keep a nice tip. So I use this for doing my my filling in my blacks, and then I do sometimes I do crow quill, and then sometimes it's all of this.
yeah, I have one of those right over there, just a bunch of random pens shoved in a jar.
What I've really been liking though is Pentel's been coming out with a bunch of cool stuff. Like this is, it's got like a little brush tip that's got a little bit of give to it, and then it's got like the big brush at the end to fill in some spaces. But are you stealing that, little thief?
Well, I think the with the Winsor Newton brush, the reason I like that so much is that, I mean, it takes a while. I think there's a learning curve on it, so it really takes a while to get to where you have command of that line weight, vary your line weight. But you can get some thick lines, and then you can taper it down to a really thin, like literally hair thin line.
Yeah.
With that, and that's why I like it. I like it because it's a very versatile tool. It's a very versatile tool.
Then this has been kind of my go-to lately. Like, I can't even explain. It's got kind of a little bit of a white tip because there's so many different brands of it, but the tip of it comes to a plastic tip, but then it kind of indents a little bit, and then you've got this really fine point. So you can go in and do really fine like crow quill lines, and then if you just press on it, you can get. It's almost like having a crow quill in a pen without hearing the horrible scratching. But because the packaging is in Japanese and you can't see through the white thing, I mean, I keep buying them hoping I can find the same one, and I never do. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think pens have come a long way from back in the day when it was just microns and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people really love Copic markers, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like the tips hold up real well.
They don't.
But
In my opinion, I don't think they do.
I found these at Hobby Lobby. They're Pentel point liners. They're not in the regular,
I've used that before,
regular pen section. They're in with like the templates and stuff. And this, like, man, when I was drawing with it, it was the smoothest pen stroke I've ever had out of a plastic marker. So I will be investing more in those shortly.
Well, I think the micron. I usually do a lot of the outlining and most of the drawing with or inking with the brush, but then I'll go in and I'll render textures usually with a micron.
Yeah.
So if I'm adding, you're trying to render texture on a rock or a brick or even some skin, I'll use a micron for that.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you pretty much a deadline.
Yeah.
You got a deadline there, and it's easy to control. So.
Yeah. Like right now, the page I'm working on is an underwater scene, and so I'm kind of having to get my thinnest pen tip to kind of do like those little. I'm trying to do my best Turner coral reef like pock-marked rocks and stuff like that to make it look as cool as I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know it was so weird. You know, growing up, you always heard you're either a quill guy or a brush guy, but even those people used everything. You know, I mean, it's whatever, you know, people used rubber stamps to make textures and tissue paper with ink and whatnot. And it's pretty much whatever gets the job done as long as you know what you're doing.
Well, I remember when I was in school, when I was going to SCAD, I had a professor there, John Lowe, and he was always on me. So he would go over, you know, like this assignment this week, and he's like, "Oh, you got to use a brush for this." And then, you know, the next week it was, you know, "All right, now try to do this with a crow quill." You know, and the brush was like, whatever, you know, I use the brush and turn in the project. When it got to the crow quill, I assumed that I tricked him because I was using the micron. He probably could tell. But I would use a crow quill and pass it, or I would use a micron and try and pass it off as crow quill inking. But because I just never really. I mean, there's a lot of great, you know, nibs out there that you can get, like a G pen, and there's a bunch of different ones. But I just never really felt comfortable with it. You know, and that was just me.
Accidents can happen too easily with them too. I mean, if they, if you tweak it and it spits ink everywhere.
Yeah, it just drops a nice big blob. It's like right down there. Yeah, you're trying to ink the detail in the eye, and then a big drop of ink just flops out. Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's
that's one thing I learned from watching Micah's Miller stream is you only dip the very tip of it in, and then you just clean it constantly. Have a rag, constantly clean it. And that kind of helps keep it from building up. Because if you build up in the well part, that's kind of where you run into those issues where if you like hit the paper too hard, too fast, whatever is built up in there will shoot out. So,
well, there's an art in and of itself of just loading the crow quill nib off the ink itself. I mean, I usually will take this thing, I'll take the cap off. Yeah, and you know, I'll turn the crow quill up, and I'll just dab the smallest amount of ink in it. You know?
Yeah, that's what that Walden Wong guy does. If you ever get a chance to watch his YouTube videos, he has his own channel. He does that, and I'm just like, crow quills are already kind of tiring enough because you kind of have to, like, you'll be into line work and then you have to like re-dip. But if I would have to stop, turn it around, and then, you know, it's like you're making something that's kind of a pain in the ass harder. But I mean, it's whatever works for you know how you work. So
yeah. It seems like too you're always chasing that. I feel like there's this sweet spot when you've loaded that nib up, and you've got you know this sweet spot where the ink is flowing at just the right, you know, just perfectly, and then it starts to dry out, and then you have to reload, and it slows you down a little bit, it slows your momentum down. Yeah. When you're drawing, which is like, again, that's why I like using the microns a lot. That sort of thing, because you just keep going, you don't have to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, let's see. We're approaching the hour mark. Oddly enough, Mark, you got anything you wanna throw in, add? I'm gonna pull up the campaign page again.
Just you know, go buy your Graveyard Shift T-shirts, like the Matt Dalton piece I'm wearing right now at graveyardshiftmerch.com.
Yeah, cool. Get that stuff. There's also a really cool Mike McMahon shirt on there too.
I was wearing that on yesterday's stream.
Yep. As soon as I get mine washed, I'll be wearing mine. All right, let's hit refresh on this bad boy. All right, still at 84 backers, 4640. As soon as we get to 5,000, everyone gets a trading card. Let's just go over the perks real quick.
Yeah, you'll have to start drawing that trading card, Mike.
Oh, dang it! Oh, yeah, sure, that'd be awesome. See, fan pack, $75. You get reprint of book 1. You get first printing of book 2 and a sketch by me. Let's see, regular is just volume 2, everything signed by Mark. We can kill some disease here. It'll be signed by me too. So $25 just for the graphic novel. $25 for the Mark Yoon awesome Spider-Man homage cover reprint of Volume 1. Double Tap, 2 copies of Book 2 at $40, which is a great deal. I would think there'd be more people getting that. Let's see. Action Pack, Book 1 and 2 for $50. You get the reprint in Volume 2. Triple Threat, you get first printing of Volume 1, second printing of Volume 1, and first printing of Volume 2, all signed by Mr. Mark Poulton. Patriot Pack is all 3 of those books, plus a head sketch by myself. The USAssassin Footlocker, which is the coolest perk, in my opinion, but what do I know? Which is the Footlocker box, and it comes with all the books that are in the campaign with all the extra goodies, and it also includes a sketch by myself and a sketch by the illustrious Mark Poulton.
That is a fancy looking box, Mark. That's awesome.
It is. Are you showing it off?
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Okay, I'll make you big here in a second. Then there's the retailer pack, 10 copies of each book, plus promo items and a 24 by 36 poster for $300. And let's get down to this is the poster. Don't get caught empty-handed. Choke a ninja. I mean, sold here. Okay. Alrighty, so then let's get off of that and go back to this. And then how do I make you big, Mark? Nope. Don't want that. Nope. Nobody wants that. How do I... Nope, I don't want to kick you from the studio. How the heck do I make you big?
I don't know. People can see it, though.
Yeah.
So this is our box, G.I. Joe themed with the logo. It says a real American Ninja underneath. Got the cool spine. All this was done by, all the design work was done by Peter DeLuca. So shout out to him. And then the box opens up. And inside should hold about 5 hint USAssassin books. So if you're wondering what you're going to get, expect 5 books, sketches from me and Mike, an exclusive trading card, and probably some other goodies in there. I think a print. So it's a cool deal. There's only 15 of them,
and 5 are gone.
Hey, Tim.
So there's only 10 left. So get them while you can. So that way you will be a step ahead of everybody else, because you will be getting some extra items that we haven't even announced yet. So,
Mark, you got me thinking. I got to work on my background here. You got all those cool things sitting up behind you, and I have a ceiling fan fluttering in the background.
I'm like super stoked every time that I stream with Mark, because it's our stuff that's in the background. So
yeah, it's cool.
Soon to be more of our stuff.
Yeah. No, for the longest time I just had all of my books lining behind me. But now it's like USAssassin season, so I put all the USAssassin stuff out.
That's
Graveyard
awesome.
Shift 2? I mean, oh yes, go get that too. All right, so let's go through. Mark, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. Also, you can check me out on my YouTube channel, Primetime Poulton. Do a bunch of wrestling-related videos. I do a YouTube show with fellow comic book creator Phil McNulty. He was the artist on William Shatner's Man of War. We do a show called La Pod Gods, where we break down Impact Wrestling and AEW Wrestling every week. We also do a Pro Wrestling Fantasy League, which for the first week ever, I'm in last place. So I was winning the entire time. Phil had a big week and pulled ahead of me. So it's a lot of fun.
You had really great. You had the picks I would have picked. So I don't know how you're losing.
Yeah, I had a bad week.
All right, where can we find you, Matt?
You can find me on. I put a lot of my artwork mostly up on Twitter now and Instagram. My Twitter is at Cartoon Muscle, and Instagram is the same, Cartoon Muscle. Or you could look me up, Matt Dalton.
Okay, sorry, I'm muting when I can when baby decides to go on a tirade. I'm not going to bed. But all right, so if anyone wants to know where my dumb butt is at, it is at Mike McMahon 74 on Twitter. There is on Facebook a USAssassin fan page where we post links to all the Poulton-verse books. There are links to the other fan pages. There's a link up there for Black Owl, which is coming out next year.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll have Viking Wolf, Black Owl, and probably Loose Threads, and more USAssassin and Graveyard Shift next year. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody.
Nice.
We don't need no more. We need USAssassin. Come on, guys. 6 figures, young lady. In my dreams. All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for coming along, and thank you, Matt, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, hopefully we can do more of these. Mark has got the stick. He's like, "Come on, Mike, do it." And I'm like, okay, because I know I need to have a bigger presence, and Mark's done a great job in increasing his presence on YouTube and social media, and I can't just be happy with being the little art monkey. So I'll do the YouTube too. But thank you everybody for being here, and I guess that's it. I don't know.
Go back USAssassin too.
Yes, buy USAssassin 2.
Do it. Yeah.
Buy it for a friend. Get the retailer pack and send it out for Christmas. Your relatives might think you're nuts, but we'll love you. And our love is more important than your relatives because you probably hate most of them. So come on, do it. Do it for us. Do it for the kids. Do it for the children. Anyway, thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.